5, 4, 3, hands on keys, turn. Greetings and felicitations. This is Michael Haspel, and this is the NaNoWriMo microsode, or teeny-sode, or mini episode, I guess, because I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about NaNoWriMo. If you've ever uttered the phrase, "I would like to write a book," well, this is your chance. So what NaNoWriMo is it's kind of a campaign that just came up, and it's been around for, well, I want to say about 15 years. I've been participating for about 10, so I know it's been around a while. The idea behind it is that you write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days in the month of November. And of course, this is November 1st, so today is day one. And if you don't fall behind, that works out to about 1,700 words a day. It's slightly less. It's like 1,667 or something like that. But I just aim for 1,700, and that gives you a little bit extra to work with. So that works all right. And then at the end, you've got a 50,000 word novel if you keep up with it. So it is a useful exercise in any case to see what it would take to be a professional writer. Somebody would have a career where you have to churn out about 2,000 words a day, rain or shine. And I was first exposed to it when Michael Stackpole posted something on, I believe it was his blog at the time, that said something about, hey, if you want to be a professional writer, you have to go through the exercise of doing NaNoWriMo, just to kind of prove to yourself that you have what it takes to pull it out. And if you succeed, then that's great. And if you fail, then that's great. There's really nothing to win or lose. You will hear people talk about winning NaNoWriMo. That just means you got to the end. But some people write, 50,000 word novel in 2 months or 3 months. It just doesn't, the fact that you can't do it within 30 days doesn't mean you really lost. It just means you didn't do it in 30 days. So it's up to you what you plan to do after that. And I just have some really quick tips. I'm going to try to keep this very short. Just some really quick tips that I've learned over the years, and these aren't all exclusively mine. They're just things to help you get along and finish. For me, my first tip would be start early. And I don't mean like start 1 November, although I do mean that as well. I mean start early in the day. Try to get the majority of your word count done before anyone else is awake, before you have to go to work, before you're worried about making breakfast or doing anything. Maybe just make a cup of coffee or something like that. Just hop out of bed and just as quick as you can, do not check social media. Do not check your email. Just open up your word processor program of choice and start knocking out words. That really, really helps, because then if you've got the majority of your word count or even your entire word count done in the morning before everything got going, then when you get home after everything, if you get just any words in at all, you're way ahead of the game. And hand in hand with that would be work ahead, so that don't just reach your 1,700 word milestone or whatever milestone you're going to set for yourself and go, hey, I've reached my word count for today and I am done. If you can keep going, if you're in the right mood, if you're in the groove, keep going. Keep going for as long as you can, because there's going to be those days where you sit down and the words just don't come. And you're going to be looking at, a blank screen or a blank page if you're writing longhand or with a typewriter, and nothing will happen. And you might get 200 words or 500 words or something. And in that case, if you find yourself in that situation, what I would recommend is, instead of trying to write your word count for that day in that session, just go, I'm going to write 100 words. And then I'm going to write another 100. And then I'm going to write another 100. And you'll find oftentimes that you'll get into a groove by doing that. Or you might just write 300 words, but 300 words is better than 0. So that's another piece of advice I would have. Also, do not wait for the muse. The muse is very fickle, and oftentimes she will not show up. But she will show up if you kind of awaken her and kick her out of bed. So set yourself a routine and sit down and try to put words on the page no matter what, whether you feel like it or not. You can even use prompts if you want, to change the story if you don't have it all outlined ahead of time, which at this point, it would be kind of rough. You still have some time to outline and plot everything ahead of time, but we're in the thick of it already. Today is day 1, and you can't let that go. One of the other things I would do is announce it, like on your social media, on your Twitter or whatever. Announce that you're going to try to do NaNoWriMo. It by publicly announcing it kind of puts a little bit of stakes on it, that you're being held accountable. And then put up your daily word count or weekly word count, or maybe the last sentence that you wrote that day. Make it fun. And you'll see a lot of other people doing this as well. One of the most important pieces of advice I would give is don't go back, ever. Just keep pressing forward. This is not the time to edit. You don't have time to edit. You have 30 days to write 50,000 words. You do not have time to edit. Now, you may want to go back and just read like maybe the last 2 paragraphs you wrote just to remind yourself, oh, hey, this is what I was doing. That's right. This is where we were. But do not at all, by any circumstances, go back. Because going back is going to do 2 things, really. You're not going forward. You're rereading stuff that you've already written, so you're wasting time on your word count. And then on top of that, and this happens to everybody, what you thought you wrote that was gold might not turn out to be gold. And you don't want to remind yourself about that until December 1st. So you just want to keep going. Whatever you wrote in the past, greatest stuff ever written. Just press on. You don't need to reread it. Reread it December 1st. One of the other things that's going to happens right around 10 to 15,000 words, is you're going to want to think that everything that you've written is the most horrible piece of trash, and you've got a great new idea, and why not just start over and go with that great new idea? Resist the urge to do that. You've got 10 to 15,000 words, press on, keep going, keep going, keep going. Do not go back, and don't jump to a different idea, because your subconscious is really, really funny that way. The new idea is always sexier than the one you're working on. It's always, the grass is always greener. That's why they say that, So don't do that. Write down your new idea maybe and visit it in December. Visit it when you're done. You're going to need a new project in December, and I'll get to that in a moment. So there is a bunch of different gadgets and software out there. And being a writer that loves gadgets and software, I would say if you don't already have it, with the exception of a couple of apps I'm going to mention, if you don't already have it, don't get it, because you're going to want to play with this, and there's a learning curve associated, and it's not going to help you. There is one exception to this, and that is a device that I adore called the AlphaSmart Neo. It's kind of a little typewriter thing that was created for grade school students, so it's almost indestructible, to learn how to type and take quizzes and tests and stuff. You can pick one up on eBay shipped for maybe $30. I would not pay more than $30 for it, period. These things are really old. They run on a little LCD screen and 3 AA batteries. I have a couple of them. I keep them scattered in the car, at work, whatever. And you can just pull these things out and write on them. They have a good size, decent keyboard, and you can use it as it recognizes it as long as you have a USB port as a removable keyboard, and then you can just dump all your stuff back into your laptop or your computer or whatever. I like them because they're super cheap and they can take a beating, and you can bring them just about anywhere. They also don't afford you any distractions. You can't check social media. You can't check the email. Just turn your phone off or use your phone just to listen to music or something, and just write out your words. You hit Control W and it gives you your word count and you're done. So you're going to hear a lot of people talk about Scrivener and other software and stuff like that. I adore Scrivener. That's what I use in my normal writing that's not NaNoWriMo. And I probably will use it during NaNoWriMo as well. But if you are just starting out using Scrivener, I would not recommend it for NaNoWriMo. You're going to spend more time trying to figure out the software than you are going to be writing. So it's better to just use Microsoft Word or whatever you're used to using, Pages, if you've got a Mac, and just crank out your words and word count. Save often, obviously. I know that Word and probably Pages has an auto-save function that saves like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something. Go ahead, find that function in options and turn it on. You don't want to lose your stuff, obviously. And then what I used to do is save. You can write on the cloud. If you've got a Microsoft device, you can use OneDrive and it'll save directly to OneDrive. Same with Dropbox. Another decent feature, if you're worried about losing stuff, is just email your file to yourself every day. Especially if you're using some kind of online email like Gmail or something like that will keep it as a record. So these are all, just little hacks and tips to use. Another one, a big one, and this is harder than it sounds, is silence your inner editor. Just write and go try to write as fast as you can, because when you write as fast as you can, your editor doesn't have time to say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Or, hey, wait a minute, would she really say that? Or don't listen to that. Just press on. Just write it down and press on. And there'll be plenty of time to edit words later. Trust me, this first draft is going to be very quick. It's going to be very rough. And when you read it in December, it's probably not going to be very good, but that's okay. It's down on paper. You can fix everything once it's already down. So you have to get it down. By that same note, if you're trying to have a car chase and you go, oh, these guys are speeding down, a street in Paris, and I need to know the name of this street and what cafe is on the corner. You just put in close brackets, and in the close brackets say, find the name of the street and the cafe in Paris. And don't do that while you're writing. Do not search while you're writing. Search for that once the story is done. It might be that you completed the entire story and it doesn't take place in Paris at all anymore. And you wasted a half an hour on Google researching where this cafe was on the corner of a street in Paris. And now the story takes place in Detroit. So don't waste time doing that. And when you come to your end of the day writing, when you're closing up your writing session, you're like, hey, I've got my word count. I think I'm at a good stopping point. It's time to go to work, whatever. Try to end your writing session when you know what's going to happen next. And that sounds a little bit weird, and it may not work for everybody. It works for me. But I go, okay, I know what's going to happen next. Like, I know what's going to happen in the next 2 paragraphs or the next scene or whatever. And I will jot a 3-person or a 3-word note to myself. I'll just be like, firefight happens or something like that and highlight it. So I don't actually leave it in there. And then I shut down. And the next day when you sit down, you read the last 2 paragraphs or so, and keep in mind, you're not reading to edit. You're just reading to remind yourself, oh yeah, they were in this hut and the alien had them cornered and, oh yeah, firefight happens. You delete that, you write the firefight, You write the next scene, and now you're back in the groove right away. And it's almost like a free 300 to 500 words. So use that for yourself really well. And then I think that's about it. There's one more I want to talk about, and that is that you're going to be done with a 50,000 word novel at the end of November. Do not turn around and fire that off to an agent or throw it up on Amazon or Lulu or any of the other indie pubbing services. Do not do that. 1 November, take the manuscript, maybe print it out, maybe not, but in any way, put it away in a proverbial drawer and don't look at it until January at all. Don't even look at it. Don't reread it. Don't do anything. If you feel like you're still in the groove, write something new. Maybe those 5 or 6 new ideas you had while working on this project, start writing one. Start writing one and have that one. Just do your own NaNoWriMo. And then in January, pull that out. And then you can turn your editor on. A 50,000 words is right now, that's not long enough to be a commercial novel manuscript in today's market. However, novellas and novelettes are making a quick comeback. So you can do that, or you can just pad it out with another 30,000 words. And then, when you get past 65,000 words, around 80,000 words, you're talking, that's a serious novel manuscript. That's saleable. That works. So one other thing I would add is go to nanowrimo.org and sign up. They have all kinds of tools. They have pep talks. They have groups that you can join. They do these things called write-ins, and they have a word counter that everyone can see. And if anyone wants to friend me on that, I am Rogue428. You can check me out from Colorado, and I will be participating this year. Although I'm kind of cheating because the story I'm writing, I already have 30,000 words written, but I will be starting at 0. So I'm not starting with 30,000 words. I'm starting at 0 and writing another 50. And I may do some write-ins on Discord. I probably will do some write-ins on Discord, and I'll announce those at least on social media. And I might do a live write-in on Twitch. I have to try to figure out the logistics of that. And again, that'll be probably towards the middle of the month, not anytime soon, but that could be a lot of fun where we just just write together and send each other prompts and stuff like that and see how that works out. I think that would be a good time. I just have to figure out exactly how I would do it, if I would screen share what I'm writing, etc. I don't really know. I'll have to figure that out. So, and also keep in mind, I've been a member of Nano for 10 years, but I have probably failed more times than I've won. I don't know the exact record, but I know I didn't win it 10 times. I know that for a fact. So I think I've only won it maybe 3 or 4 times. So it's a contest against yourself, and you've got nothing to lose. So keep it clean and green. And this is Mike. Good luck with Nano. Out. You have been listening to Quantum Froth Dispatches by Michael Haspel. Music and other cues are provided by The Fat Rat. The song you're hearing is Monody, featuring Laura Brem. If you would like to support the podcast, please visit www.patreon.com/QFD. Thank you for listening, and we now return you to your mundane reality.